When the landscape Athens is inhabiting was created, over the course of millennia, alluvial deposits would push the sea southwards, creating what is today the Athens Basin. Although over time, its hydrological meaning fell into oblivion, this very term, simply the basin, is still in use today to describe the urban conglomerate of Athens. In retrospect, one could say, Athenian rivers stand for the geological genesis of its very landscape. Water, in a condition between seasonal streams and rivers, namely Ilissos and Kifissos, would allow for ancient civilization first to settle in the most favorable basin of the region, then to blossom. And this was so very fundamental that it became the baseline of the founding myth of the city. The dispute between Poseidon and Athena, between maritime dominance and agricultural prosperity, would result in the creation of a sacred olive grove along the fertile plain of Kifissos. It comes as no surprise that at the most prominent of monuments, statues of the deified rivers stand both as the literal and metaphorical cornerstones of civilization.
It was not until the mid of the 20th century that the demographic explosion would lead to unprecedented alterations in the landscape of the basin. Brutal alterations, controlling flood and hygiene through predictable and measurable channels and pipes, offered a pleasant illusion and a convenient alibi for massive infrastructure works. Those were almost always complemented with new road infrastructure. Water shall vanish. New rivers were for cars. Back then, concrete rivers stand for the engineering marvels of the modernizing city. It would not take long, though, to realize that water would not vanish, that open green spaces are vital to the city, but there is almost none left, that city life became unbearable, that anything non-human wouldn't stand a chance, that the vehicular rivers were ever more polluting, that the modernizing marvels would quickly prove insufficient, that the city entered a vicious cycle of dealing with the consequences of a subjugated nature by further and pointlessly subjugating nature. That traces of rivers stand as scars to remind us of the systemic assault against what was once a mythical landscape.
Scars, though, are persistent. They are omnipresent and weaved into the urban fabric as a dense mesh, crossing the plain from mountains and hills down to the sea, potentially bringing together spaces and habitats for humans and none. Cracks in the system, leftovers of urbanization, accommodate already a peculiar form of wilderness amidst the built. This proves that renegotiating the scars and reintroducing wilderness into the urban, alongside landscape infrastructures, is not unthinkable. Facing the alarming climate futures, it is rather an urgent necessity. Therefore, recovered rivers must stand for a future reconciliation between the city and its landscape. A re-established hydrological system, along with new civic archetypes, can be envisioned as an allegory for a new resilient urban vision.